So let's get real about what happens to us northern gardeners when our gardens are currently covered in snow. We fall into the sedentary trap. We probably will end up with an injury by like week 2 because the body is not ready for that. It's a pretty long list of things that we can very easily throw off because our body has deconditioned over the winter time. I'm going to share with you a very short practice using very specific targeted movements, very beginner friendly, that you can keep doing all winter long so that you don't lose what you have worked for. Hello, my name is Lindsay. I'm a Zone 3 gardener here in Saskatchewan, and like most gardeners, I spend spring through fall digging, hauling, lifting, bending, you name it, all the things that are needed to put in the garden, pick the weeds, harvest the garden. And then by this point in the year, we hit December, and well, we're not doing any of those things. And this sort of sedentary nature that tends to come about in the winter time creates a lot of stiffness in our tissues, which of course, when springtime comes back around and we're ready to dive back into everything, we probably will end up with an injury by like week 2 because the body is not ready for that. First thing is why this immobility is going to make back pain a whole lot worse. Second, we're going to move through 4 different postures that is going to keep you mobile and ready to drop back into your season as soon as the snow lifts. In the summertime, we were moving around lots. We were walking, lifting, bending, you name it. Our body adapts. We build really great functional strength and mobility. Then winter comes around, and previously that maybe 3-4 hours a day that we were really using our bodies, building strength, building that mobility, suddenly we are not doing any of that. Maybe we shovel snow here and there, but that's not always. So what happens to our back? First things first, a lot of sitting shortens our hip flexors, which in turn pulls our seat underneath us, which adds strain onto the low back. Second, our core tends to weaken just simply from lack of use. Our spine also gets quite stiff just from lack of being used through its full ranges of motion. And all that strength that you built through the season, lifting those heavy pots of dirt, shoveling, you name it, we tend to lose that within maybe about 6 to 8 weeks of the season ending if we're not keeping up all of those particular activities. So then we know spring comes around, we dive back into a lot of these really intense strength and mobility requiring activities, and boom, we end up with some sort of thing going out in our back, our hips, our shoulders, neck, you name it. I'm going to share with you a very short practice using very specific targeted movements, very beginner friendly, that you can keep doing all winter long so that you don't lose what you have worked for. Just like hitting the ground running that most of us feel, that we can just like dive right in and not skip a beat. Our first focus is going to be our spine, our spinal flexion and extension, and a little bit of warming through the core as well. Tabletop pose makes a really good option for this. So you can do this from on the floor, shoulders sitting on top of wrists, hips sitting on top of the knees. You can do this from seated, and you can also do this from standing. We're just going to focus on what's happening through the spine. So our first is our cow pose. Sit bones get to lift to the sky. Now keep the belly button pulled in towards the spine, even though the spine is getting nice and heavy. Squeeze the shoulders together, down and back. Gentle look forwards. Exhale, we're gonna push the other way into our cat. So we're really, really tucking, arching. Scoop the butt underneath, push through the hands and tuck the chin. Your inhale will lead the motion from the bottom of the spine. So this is gonna allow those vertebrae that are quite stuck to start remobilizing. When you get to your exhale, keep going. We're also gently warming up the core muscles as we keep them lifted and engaged through the whole thing. If we tend to slouch and forward fold a lot when we are seated, this is also going to start to unpack some of those habits, especially if we spend a little more time in our cow shape. So keep going. Aim for roughly about 10 rounds if you can. Make sure you're breathing through the whole thing. Again, seated, standing, or on the floor. Once you've moved through all 10 rounds, you can come back to your neutral, to your table. I like to just take a little bit of a shimmy once I get back, work through some of the tension that sometimes shows up. And then we're going to take a pause seated, so whatever that looks like, seated or standing, I should say, and just give yourself a moment. Inhale, exhale. Another one, inhale. Exhale. Okay, so second version, we are going to come back into our tabletop. And this is something that you can do maybe just leaning over onto the couch, onto a bed, table, things like that if you don't want to be on the floor as well. We're going to go for a sort of flat spine or flat-ish spine if you're not down on the floor. And we're going to thread our arm underneath. So I like to take a big twist to start it out. So take an inhale. Taking one arm up to the sky. The exhale is going to thread everything underneath and through. We're going to drop down onto the back of the arm, let the head come down. Let the arm either stay in front for support or stretch out on the top side. And we're going to get settled in here. Get pretty heavy on that bottom arm. You can lean the body weight a little bit more back to whatever side is the arm that's underneath. This is really fantastic for opening up through the upper scapula. We tend to do a lot of rotational type movements when we are in the garden, whether it's digging up something, putting it in a basket, shoveling, there's kind of all sorts of different motions that cause tightness and stiffness through our rotational movements. And this has helped to decompress that and keep that pattern of movement available to us all winter long. So count it out, maybe 10 breaths or about a minute. If you've got your top arm extended, we're gonna slide it back in. Again, I'm partial to a twist on the way out. When you're ready, we're gonna go on the other side, opening through a nice twist, sending that arm underneath and through, letting the head rest down. Top arm stays close or extends out. You get to decide. Heavy through that bottom arm. Again, just lean a little bit towards the side of the body that bottom arm is on. This will help snug up the tissues just a little bit. Making sure you've got a full breath. Again, count it out, maybe 10 good long breaths, a minute, whatever sort of suits. And we'll come out through a nice twist. Take a moment, come back to your tabletop or return back to a seat or a nice tall spine. Okay, ready for our third posture here. And we're going to come into a child's pose to start things out. So we're going to settle down, let the head rest for a moment, get heavy into the butt, reaching back to the heels. And this is a good place to stay for just a little bit off the start. Letting that low back really decompress. We are compressing the hip flexors, which is actually quite good for our mobility. And then we will start to walk the hands over to the right side. Reset the head back down. And from here, I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to just stick it to the floor and push myself backwards while my left fingers try to walk away. So they're going the completely opposite direction. And we're going to really focus on that long, balanced breath down the left side body. So this is really great for a lot of the
sort of bending and up and down squatting type actions that we tend to do. There's lots of reaching that we tend to do, and a lot of engagement through kind of the core, especially that low back can get quite fatigued from all the bending and folding and lifting and stuff. And so this is a fantastic release and remobilization to balance all that out. So once about 10 breaths or so has elapsed, we're going to give ourselves a return through center and all the way to the other side. Head resting down. So left hand sticks to the floor, pushes us backwards, while the right fingers start to go the other direction, traveling away from us. And this time, the right side body is going to get the focus of your nice, strong breath. So choosing at least 10 breaths again, and then we're going to gently come back through center. You're welcome to continue in this child's pose at the center neutral for a little bit longer, or if you're ready to take a release, we'll just ease ourselves back up and out. We are ready for our last posture, and that is going to be a twist. So this is really great to do from reclined, also from seated. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper twist. So we're going to invite, we'll start with the left side, left leg. We're just gonna really squeeze it in nice and tight for a moment. And then we're going to invite the leg all the way across the body. And I'm partial to picking up my hips and just realigning them with the rest of the vertebrae. This can be really nice if you have a cranky low back. Left leg's going all the way over to the left side as best as it can. You're welcome to stick, cushion, block, anything underneath that knee if you want to soften the twist a little bit. Draw the core in a little bit as we return back. Stretching left leg out, right leg. We're going to give it a nice tight squeeze, pull it in. And let's find our twist over to the other side. Remember to do your adjust with the hips back in line with the spine. Gaze to the right side if the neck is feeling good. And your breath is the tool to help you carry away all those sensations that are really starting to speak. They can be quite loud in any given posture, and we're going to soften that both with gravity and our breath. So after a minute has elapsed, slowly unwind, let those legs come back to center. Maybe bring both the legs into the body. If you're on the floor, just give yourself a nice little rock. One more release to the low back. Then you can gently and slowly make your way to a seat. Okay, so let's recap our winter maintenance routine. So we had our tabletop that we did our rolling cat-cows to get that spine moving. We had our tabletop sort of threading the needle twist. So a little more work in the rotation of the spine, but also decompressing the upper back and scapula, which is also super lovely. We had our child's pose with our big reach over to the side. So working on both of the hips, low back, nice release down the side body. And then we completed the whole thing with a nice big ring out in a deep twist. So again, more work through the spine, a little bit into the outside of the hip, and the whole thing just carrying like a beautiful rhythmic breath through beginning to end, just helping that body maintain its release and its space. And when spring hits, your body will be thanking you because you will be ready to go. You will not be dropping into injury and stiffness and just all the achy breakies that can come with the springtime. So this is my gentle nudge for you to not let your body freeze while your garden is frozen, okay? Your action plan is going to be try for 3 to 4 times a week if you can, to just make sure that everything stays moving really happily for you, and you will be feeling so, so good in the springtime. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And if you found this to be really beneficial, make sure to hit the thumbs up button or subscribe, hopefully both, so that you get notified when other great practical movement tips for your winter garden and your summer garden come out. And if you want to learn more about how to dial in movement practices throughout your whole year, and in particular, even through the month, through our menstrual cycles and how that energetic flow moves, join the waitlist in the description. I've got a special program coming out that really helps us to hone in on what we need and when, and then gives you the actual tools so that you can really feel in flow and in sync as all these beautiful fluctuations take place. Until we get to join together again, have a good one.